Mirror Dungeon Extreme with max adversity modifiers is one of the hardest challenges within Limbus Company. I beat it using the basic starting character that everyone has. This is the story of the longest run. But before we get into that, I need to tell you about LCB Meursault. This Frenchman is slow, has low clashing power, and does no damage. His only saving grace is that he's absurdly hard to kill. His skill 3 is a 4-coiner that gives him 30% damage reduction on the next turn. Now, in Mirror Dungeon, it's possible to replace all the skills with skill 3s, making it theoretically possible to have 100% damage reduction by turn 4. For support passives, we're keeping it simple. We're using Heishopak Song to give Meursault up to 5 defense level and the ability to heal 50 HP at certain conditions. Regret Faust for +1 clash power if the enemy has 3 or more types of negative effects. We're taking La Macheland Don Quixote for the vibes, and because I don't have T Corp Don Quixote, otherwise I would take T Corp. We're taking Heishopak Ryoshu for more speed. King Leader Hong Lu for 20% more damage with heads coins. LCB Heathcliff for 10% more blunt damage. R Corp Ishmael for even more blunt damage. LCB Rodion for 20% more damage with heads coins. Lost Mariachi Sinclair for 10% more damage to enemies with lower SP. LCB Otis for 30% more damage to enemies below 0 SP. And G Corp Gregor for healing 5 HP after winning a clash. With that, we're ready to enter the Mirror Dungeon. We're taking every single ++ grace because we're going to earn it all back. We're starting with the blunt E.G.O gifts, even though you can basically start with either blunt, tremor, or even poise. For E.G.O gifts, we're taking Haunted Shoes for Hoarfrost for clash power, we're taking Music Box to stop yourself from being staggered, and we're taking the Prestige card for shop discount. For Floor 1, we're taking the Unloving for an easy floor, and also the other half of Hoarfrost. We get a bunch of E.G.O gifts from Graces early on. We get a bunch of E.G.O gifts that are nice to have, but not necessarily necessary. Early on, we're mostly looking for healing and survival E.G.O gifts. The first fight basically consisted of us basically wet noodling each other with me pressing win rate in an unfocused encounter over and over. Now, as I'm editing this, I realize that this is probably unoptimal because I probably lost a lot of HP for just losing the clashes at the beginning. But anyways, we did manage to win after losing 100 HP. Our first event node gave us the Scarlet Moth event, which was pretty nice because it both healed us for HP and also gave us more damage. This probably wasn't the best event that I could have gotten, but it is a good event regardless. The second normal battle was more close than I thought. I got staggered once, but then the Music Box saved me. And then I almost got staggered a second time, but thankfully I didn't get staggered a second time. I managed to pull through with a sliver left in the second stagger bar. Couldn't believe my eyes when I got a super shop on floor 1. I'm pretty sure the spawn chance is something like 3% or something. Anyways, I got really lucky. In the shop, I picked up some healing gifts, some economy gifts, bracelet for tremor application, and some crit generation. One skill 1 was skill 3, healed Meursault for 50% HP, and fused for Clearwater for crit damage and clash power on the second turn. Clearwater was then fully upgraded for even more crit damage. I then sold my fusion ingredient for more tremor clash power and damage. Going into the boss of floor 1, I was fully prepared. Boss node of Unloving consists of 4 waves of adds in a focused encounter. For all these adds, I just focused on clashing with the skill that inflicted me with the debuff. This fight was overall pretty easy because it was only a matter of time before I ramped up to become extremely tanky and I basically 2-shot every enemy. For the rewards, I took the E.G.O resources to activate the rest of the center passives. For the E.G.O gifts, I took Frozen Cries for Hoarfrost Reach Fusion and Melted Spring for more damage and clash power when they are afflicted with sinking. For floor 2, I hard rerolled for Hell's Chicken. We did this for Sharp Needle for more damage, and Tango Marinade for more clash power. Hell's Chicken overall was pretty easy. All the encounters we basically just tanked through and could just 2-shot everyone. Most of this floor was just fishing for E.G.O gifts and clearing out enemies. We found Lithograph in one of our first event nodes, which is one of the best healing gifts in Mirror Dungeon solos. Meursault handled the pry check pretty well for me. In our second event node, we found the Tango Marinade from the chicken boxing event. If you choose the second option, you're basically guaranteed to get Tango Marinade. In the shop, I fused for Hoarfrost, but I didn't really spend a lot of time refreshing for Sharp Needle and Thread since I was guaranteed after my floor anyways. And since it was early, the Mountain Trials didn't really matter too much in the long run. The rest of the E.G.O gifts were just helping with survivability and damage. I also took this time to convert another skill 1 into a skill 3. And with that, we headed on to the boss. The only real danger is the 4-coiner that the boss had at the start of the fight, but we can clash that no problem. After that, it was just easy picking. I'm going to start skipping over the encounter reward cards at the end of all of these boss fights because most of the time I just took cost anyways. And with that, we took Sharp Needle and Thread, along with a Grimy Iron Stake for a little bit of bleed potency and defense level down, along with Reverberation for both Tremor speed control and Clash power. For floor 3, I refreshed a bunch to try and get Dark Flame Pipe or Gear Shrapnel as a clear reward for full stops by a bullet. I can get the guaranteed clear reward after refreshing a bunch, so I just decided to raw dog the back. We got Crushed Memory at the start of floor 3, which is nice because it really helps with our clashing power on our skill 3 in the early game. I'm not gonna lie, floor 3 was pretty nerve-wracking. LCB Meursault is fatally weak to Pierce. That means on a bad RNG roll, or even an average roll, there's a chance that my Meursault would just get one-shot by one of these ads in the unfocused encounter. Bear in mind that I also didn't grab Emergency Patch or an AoE E.G.O, but I did have Lithograph, so this would be hard, but doable. In my first event node, I picked up Dark Flame Pipe, which gives +2 attack power up in exchange for just 1 fragile, which is very nice, especially for Meursault, who really needs the clash power. In the second event node, Meursault picked up a gun, which really helped with the vibes of the whole situation. I didn't get so lucky in the second combat. I managed to take out one enemy on round 1, but then I immediately got rolled by the rest of the enemies on the first turn. They procced my music box, which basically means that I can't reach the next stagger threshold or else I just die. And die I did. I got absolutely floored until I reset enough to have better RNG in this combat. In the shop, we fused for Downpour, which gave us Tremor Count and Potency application on turn start, and also Tremor Burst on turn end. I was then also rewarded by the Rusty Coin by the Graces. Imposed Weight was picked up for more damage for the cost of health. Some other economy gifts. Tremor gifts for more Tremor application, damage, and clash power. Gear Shrapnel for more damage and defense, and an upgrade for more poise. Going into the boss, I was nervous. Not only did I struggle with 6 Gear Worshippers, but now I had to go against 40. This was not going to be easy. The fight generally went like this. I would kill one, get staggered, and die. Kill one, get staggered, and die. This went on for a while until I got the perfect reset and RNG for your run.
완벽한 승리 축하드립니다, 아가씨.
For floor 4, I took line 2 for Bridal for more max HP. I leveled up all my identities with the first event node. I got the Golden Urn with the second event node, which is one of the best econ gifts in the game. In the shop, we swapped our last skill 1 with the skill 3, Vial for more AoE damage, Nebulizer for poise, Grey Coat for 20% lifesteal, Spring for clash power, Clover for even more poise, we fused for Artistic Sense for more damage, and then fully upgraded Nebulizer and Artistic Sense. We then punched the Sign of Roses over and over again into submission.
관리자님은 그래
그래도 어디에 누구누구처럼 직원들을 사지로 내리진 않네. 결정대로 단번에 우위를 점하셨군요. 완벽한 승리 축하드립니다.
Bridal was guaranteed from the floor clear reward. I'm gonna skip floors 5 through 10 and just skip straight to the extreme packs because I'm not gonna lie, they were really boring and all that really mattered was the E.G.O gifts. So I'm gonna do a quick, brief explanation of why I chose each floors from floors 5 through 10 with the E.G.O gifts that they provide. But if you want to see the full 3-hour run, I'll link the unedited raw footage in the description below. Okay, generally, for LCB Meursault, after getting Grey Coat and Lithograph, the other E.G.O gifts that we wanted were Poise, Tremor, and Blunt, but we didn't want any general E.G.O gifts that required specific E.G.O gifts to fuse. And that is because they require 5 or more units to make use of them. We only have 1, and it's Meursault. We can't do that. But anyways, my floor 5 pack was Line 1. Most people probably know this pack by now. It has Kermit, the Clanker, and Buddha. But the real reason we want this pack is because it gives us ramping damage over time for free and offensive level as well, which is perfect for our Meursault's lack of damage and clash power. Time killing time, Bakak. This pack is actually perfect for a solo Meursault run. It gives us both Tremor E.G.O gifts to help with damage, clash power, and Tremor application, as well as the emergency badge, which is a get out of jail free card giving you basically another health bar, while also upping your clash power and damage when that happens. The Time Ripper is a joke. Line 3. It has ads, and more ads. The egg gives us Vasaraga's Undying for 1 round, while Contempt of the Gaze of Contempt gives us more damage. Nocturnal Sweeping Bakak. Home to Sweeper, 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 Middle, Sweeper, 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 Sweeper. Tossing that aside, enter the BB for offensive level up and sustain, Shadow Bamboo Hat for sustain, and the Blunt Tattoos for clash power. Oh, we love Christmas. Anyways, we ended up robbing Santa and his 23 gnomes for Jolly Plushie, which basically gives me more damage, more crit, and more sustain, and gambling. Oh, I guess I also got Faith and Piece of Relationship too. I'm not gonna lie, this pack mainly consisted of me just beating up an old lady and her gang for her leg. Not gonna lie, my mind blanked on what theme pack to choose, so here we are. Her leg's actually pretty good for Meursault. It gives him speed, clash power, and damage. Before moving on to floor 11, we got a bunch of normal E.G.O gifts and upgraded them. Floor 11, we took N Corp New League because it's pretty free pack until we get past floor 13, in which we lose the first stagger threshold. Now at this point, even against these floor 11 enemies, we were strong. We had effectively 3 lives, and we had 70% damage reduction by turn 2, and then 100% by turn 3. Even so, I do still like to target Starbuck in this Ahab fight, just because she can inflict fragile and she's mainly the main enemy that does damage. Not to mention that she can still make us take more damage because of the fragile that she inflicts. You might also notice here that I still have Meursault's second skill, Nailing Fist, and that's because we are also running Rusty Commemorative Coin to basically make it so that coin flips again. I want to make sure that I had some form of Tremor Burst on Meursault even without relying on E.G.O gifts. I'm pretty sure this is a misplay on my part, but the excuse that I have is I have it to proc Late Bloomer's Tattoo, which gives Meursault more offense level up, which gives us more clash power in the long run. Now, as you can see, Ahab's really trying to deal damage to us, but because we have 70% damage reduction and insane amounts of defense level up, she's not dealing any damage. And within the next round, Queequeg's dead, and it's only Ahab left right after. And funny enough, Ahab just got staggered by the sheer amount of E.G.O gifts that we have, so we had a pretty easy time just killing her with our skill 3s. The really irritating part about this fight, though, is that she has another phase after this, but that doesn't really matter to me because she's just permanently staggered and can't play the game. Nelly was the fight after this, but because that fight with Ahab was so long and Ahab couldn't deal any meaningful damage to us, we had all our E.G.O gifts and we had 4 skill 3s to basically work with every fight. So she couldn't clash with us, she couldn't kill us, it was only a matter of time before she died. The same could be said for the last wave. I just made sure to clash both Contempt, Awe, and Fell Bullet, and basically I could just win right through this whole fight because I was just so strong. Normally, in this fight, you have to play around the whole Fell Bullet mechanic, in which the Fell Bullet Gubo targets one of the ads, and then you want to block him from either shooting the ad or kill the ad first. But it doesn't matter if he's just staggered and dies within like the first 3 seconds of the round. And yeah, as you can see, they kind of just roll over and die.
Wow, we got them shades.
Floor 13 was crabs. Crabs. There was crabs everywhere. Now, without an AoE E.G.O, I thought these crabs were going to be the end of me. And to an extent, they were, because they were the first enemy on any type of floor to proc music blocks since floor 3. But that didn't really save them for when Meursault got 2 of his skill 3s and proceeded to get 7 protection every turn. And from then on, it just snowballed from there. The crabs couldn't handle Meursault, and then Meursault was manhandling all the crabs. It was a massacre. Now, funny thing about these crabs is that they actually have a chance to attack each other. But attacking each other doesn't really do anything for them, and they just kind of like to hit each other for whatever reason. I guess eating other crabs is a norm in the crab tradition. Now, it's also important to note that these crabs do inflict a rupture, which is a status that inflicts true damage whenever you get hit. That means that Meursault's damage reduction doesn't really apply to it. But that doesn't really offset the amount of healing that Meursault gets per hit on his skill 3. Now, I didn't really plan on this run being Egoless and Duranteless, or whatever it's called, Clockless as well, because I was gonna use my E.G.Os or the clock if I needed to, but I didn't really need to because Meursault as a base ID is just really good in solos. Granted that I know that with enough effort, any ID in Limbus can solo Mirror Dungeon Extreme with 60th Anniversary. This is just my Meursault run. Now, you can see at this point as well that Meursault is really struggling with the damage of some of these crabs with the shields that they have. And that's because he's a base ID. He doesn't do that much damage naturally, so most of the damage that he's getting are from E.G.O gifts and the center passives. I was already dreading the next few floors.
신겐에서 다른 멀쩡한 장비가 남아있었나?
교정해라 실행합니다.
Somehow, even after all that damage, the crab still could not proc Meursault's A. And I think Meursault got unstaggered here from either the badge or potentialities, but I'm not sure.
좋아, 이번에는 제대로 들어.
이번 차를 손에 넣으려면 적재하는 시간이 부족한가? 책망할 생각은 없어를 필요. 내가 겪어야 했던 세월이 그 정도 시간은 찰나에 불과해.
다음 판단을 곧 결정된.
그새 능숙이라게 되었고 무하허를 이대하죠.
이번에도 멋지게 해내네.
If I had any common sense at all, I should not have chosen this floor on floor 14. This is because, even though it's an easy pack, all of the abnormalities have very high max HP. And I'm running one of the lowest damaging centers in the game, base Meursault. I don't know what I was on when I clicked onto this pack, but maybe I want the Tremor gift? I don't know. But anyways, in the first boss, it's pretty easy because you get extra skill slots at the start due to its luring mechanic. But there's a phase where if you don't destroy the part in time, you will die. This somehow wasn't a problem for my Meursault. But again, it just took a long time. At this point, to me, this just felt like I was Sisyphus trying to roll a boulder up the hill. But that boulder just kept getting bigger and bigger every single time as I kept trying to roll it up the hill. This was miserable. After miraculously surviving a literal execution timer with a character who doesn't deal damage, Wave 2 was a complete joke. The boss tried to threaten me with heavy bleed stacks, but honestly, the bleed stacks don't really matter if you just win every clash in the first place. If you win every clash, you can't really bleed anything. Also, we're just absolutely face tanking this guy and just out healing all the bleed that he could possibly deal to us. I'm not gonna lie, it felt like I was getting a paper cut while swimming in lemon juice. This guy, this absolute fat ass of a boss, was a corporate meeting that could have been an email, I swear to God. Now, the annoying part wasn't even his boss mechanic. It was the fact that he just had a move that healed 10% of his max HP. And when this guy has over, like, 60,000 max HP, this guy was healing for a 6k, 7k every time he used that move. Meanwhile, my Meursault only dealt like 15k max, and if he used 2 of those skills, I would only deal like 3k damage to his 60k, 70k HP bar. I'm trapped in a room with an immovable object. Just when I think I'm finally making progress and the fight is about to end, the boss just asks a quick question and heals itself, adding another hour to the clock. Meursault's damage here is the equivalent of passively aggressively sighing to try and speed up the meeting. Now, at this point, after floor 14, my mental was boomed and I was done. So I kind of just rolled for the easiest pact I can think of for floor 15. And once he has no sanity, he does no damage and is basically a pushover. So all I need to do is live the first 3 turns, which is basically guaranteed with all of my ego gifts. So this is, once again, a nothing burger, and Vergilius just dies of cringe eventually. Hey, if you've watched up to this point so far, thanks for watching. It's thanks to you guys that I'm continuing to do what I love. If you guys want to see more stuff like this, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe. If this video hits 1,000 likes, then I'll do more Mirror Dungeon runs, because man, this was a real pain in the ass to edit. I also make other video essays, and video after this one's probably gonna be a video essay. If you do want to get good at Mirror Dungeon 7 solo runs yourself, I'll put a link down in the description where you can check out Ember's Mirror Dungeon solo guide, as well as Fulmore's Mirror Dungeon solo guide. And Ember's just released a Uptie 1 level 1 guide for Mirror Dungeon Extreme as well, so you can check that out as well. I'll have that down in the description. Please make sure to check it out. These guys have been a big influence for this video and are just really good at what they do and are a great resource if you're just starting out. But anyways, thanks for watching. Have a great day.